All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, we're in the process of seeing tradition being thrown out of the window in college football, but that sport, in my opinion, has some catching up to do with college basketball. The reason why I say this is, believe it or not, there was once a time where the NIT was a bigger deal than the NCAA tournament. However, that was in yesteryear, and as the years and seasons continue to go by, the NIT continues to be less and less important. Now, there was a time when those who felt that they should have been included in the NCAA tournament would be willing to participate in the NIT as a way to stick it to the NCAA for not including them in the big dance. But those days are gone. And, just like we're seeing in college football bowl games now, as far as, the schools that, aren't in the college football playoff, seeing players sit out, you name it, we're going to continue to see more opt-outs for the NIT, but not just by the players, also the schools as well. Now, there was a lot of controversy this past Sunday after the field of 68 was announced, and then we saw schools such as Syracuse, Pitt, Oklahoma, and St. John's all opt out for the NIT, even though that, Syracuse was really not mentioned as a bubble team. But nonetheless, the landscape of college basketball is changing, just like it is for college football, and the NILs and the transfer portal have plenty to do with it. I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying it. That's the way that it is. Now, coaches want to get a head start on next year. You just look at Rick Pitino in St. John's, just turned it down, and basically he wants to immediately start working in the portal. Why? So he can get his team better for next year. So we're not having the same conversation about the Red Storm. But nonetheless, you got players who are going to opt out for the NBA, which is fine. And it's no longer about getting those extra practices and those extra reps because the team might be looking totally different to begin with next season due to the portal. Now, over the years, the NIT has become less and less important. And I think once, the NCAA tournament started to get televised more than the NIT, this goes back about 50 years or so now. And of course, the NCAA tournament has continued and continued to grow, and it's only going to grow even more in both size and popularity. That, of course, is hurting the NIT for a variety of reasons. And honestly, over the years, the NIT has just become less and less important. And to me, the last nail in the NIT's coffin was made when the decision to take the semifinals and the championship game out of Madison Square Garden in New York City came about a couple of years ago. But even with that, the NIT was on a fast track to nowhere. And of course, with that said, is the question going to be, is it time to do away with the NIT altogether? Honestly, I think within the next 5 or 10 years, I think the NIT is going to fail to exist for a variety of reasons. I think the NCAA tournament is going to expand. It's going to expand more than I think it should, which is going to take even more teams away from that NIT tournament. You also have the CBI and the CIT as far as postseason tournaments, and I think it's going to do away with whatever little bit of relevance that this tournament has. I mean, you think about it, most of it's like several teams, several key teams, several big time programs that had an opportunity to play in the NIT this year said no, thank you. So you're going to put schools out there that do want to play and do want to get the reps. I totally get it, but nonetheless, it's one of those where nobody really pays attention to that tournament anymore. The NCAA tournament, like there's a strong possibility that they expand to 80 teams. I think it should just be 72, in my opinion, if they're going to do it. But nonetheless, the NCAA tournament is going to expand sooner rather than later. And at the end of the day, it's all about putting the eyes on your big marquee product. And your big marquee product is the NCAA tournament. And just like it is in college football, like I've talked about several months ago, it's one of those where, hey, if you're not in the college football playoff, it really doesn't matter anymore. And I'm not trying to say that to downplay those bowl games that aren't a part of the playoff. I'm not trying to say that to downplay the NIT and other postseason tournaments that are not the NCAA tournament. It is what it is. All eyes are going to be on the NCAA tournament. Nobody remembers, unfortunately, who won the NIT anymore. Okay, nobody even remembers who got to the NIT. I talked about the NIT semis and the championship game being taken out of Madison Square Garden. Of course, there was a time when playing in the garden was a unique thing. And I'm not trying to downplay that because I still think that Madison Square Garden is a unique thing. The Knicks play there, of course. The Big East tournament is housed there. St. John's hosts the bulk of their home games there. But there was a time where we really didn't see a lot of other teams coming to Madison Square Garden. How many tournaments do we have through the year from the college basketball scene at Madison Square Garden? And then, of course, when the NIT championship takes place, of course, is right prior to the Final Four. And again, all eyes in college basketball are on the Final Four. I think business is booming for college basketball. And of course, it is a business, in spite of the fact that some people still want to live in yesteryear about that. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, the NIT is going to be a dinosaur. A lot of tradition there, a lot of history, but unfortunately, I think within the next 5 to 10 years, this tournament bites the dust. And if the NCAA tournament does expand sooner than that, I think it's going to expedite the process a little bit more. So we're about to bid farewell to the NIT, in my opinion. Just like in college football, those bowl games, not a part of the playoff, are going to be less and less important. It's just the way that it is. And simply at the end of the day, it is the nature of the beast. So, folks, that's going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now, you can check it out. Drop a line to be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.